The ground shook as another explosion tore through what remained of Sunspire Academy's east wing. Dust and debris rained down from the ceiling of the underground bunker where Olivia Martinez had taken shelter. Her head throbbed from a gash above her right eyebrow. Blood dried in a thin line down her cheek. She couldn't remember how long she'd been unconscious. Olivia pushed herself up from the cold floor, her cadet uniform torn and covered in dust. The emergency lights cast an eerie red glow throughout the concrete corridor. She listened carefully. The distant rumble of alien ships still filled the air, but the immediate bombing seemed to have stopped. "Hello," she called out, her voice echoing in the empty hallway. "Anyone there?" No response. The last thing she remembered was running for the bunker with her squadron when the first Vox Imperium ships appeared in the sky above the Academy. The aliens had struck without warning, their massive warships descending through the clouds like angry metal giants. Olivia made her way down the corridor, checking each room she passed. Most were empty storage spaces, but in one she found a working terminal. The screen flickered with static before displaying the Academy's internal messaging system. Dozens of emergency communications scrolled by, each more desperate than the last. The final message made her heart sink. Command center hit. Sunspire has fallen. All personnel initiate Protocol Omega. Protocol Omega. The absolute last resort. It meant that the Academy, humanity's premier military and diplomatic training facility, had been destroyed. A noise from further down the hallway made her freeze. Olivia grabbed a metal pipe that had fallen from the ceiling and moved quietly toward the sound. She rounded the corner, weapon raised, then immediately lowered it. Commander Wright. Commander Peter Wright stood with a small group of survivors. 3 cadets she recognized from advanced tactical training, and 2 maintenance workers. The commander's normally immaculate uniform was torn and blackened with soot, his left arm held in a makeshift sling. "Martinez," he acknowledged with a nod. "Glad to see you made it." "What happened, sir?" "The aliens. The Vox Imperium," Commander Wright corrected. "They hit us and every major military installation worldwide simultaneously. From what we've been able to gather, most of Earth's defensive capabilities have been neutralized." A young cadet with a buzz cut, Olivia recognized him as Ryan Cooper from Communications, spoke up. "I managed to repair this," he said, holding up a small radio device. "Been picking up scattered transmissions. The aliens have deployed some kind of atmospheric terraforming engines. They're changing our air, sir." "Changing it how?" Olivia asked. "Making it toxic to humans," the other female cadet answered. Olivia knew her as Heather Davis, a medical officer in training, but breathable for them. Commander Wright moved to a dust-covered map on the wall. "We need to assess our situation. Resources, personnel, communications. Cooper, keep working on that radio. Try to contact any other survivors." Olivia suddenly realized someone was missing. "Has anyone seen Samantha?" "Samantha Bell. She's my roommate. We were together when the attack started." The group exchanged glances, but no one had seen her. "Sir," one of the maintenance workers called out, pointing to a ventilation shaft. "The old maintenance tunnels. They connect to the whole Academy." "They might not be on alien scans." Commander Wright nodded. "Good thinking, Morris. We'll use them to move around and gather supplies." He turned to the small group. "Make no mistake. To the Vox Imperium, they've won. They've taken out our leadership, our command centers, our ability to coordinate a response. They think humanity is defeated." He looked each of them in the eye. "But they're wrong. As long as we're breathing, we're fighting back." Olivia stared at the map, at the once proud academy that now lay in ruins above them. Somewhere up there, Samantha might still be alive. Somewhere up there, the aliens were celebrating their victory. "Sir," she said, her voice steady despite her fear. "What's our next move?" Commander Wright's face hardened with determination. "We survive. We gather intelligence, and when the time is right." He paused, his eyes reflecting the red emergency lights, We show these aliens exactly why you don't corner humans." The distant sound of alien engines rumbled above them, but underneath that sound, Olivia could hear something else, the faint signal from Ryan's radio, proof that somewhere, humanity was still sending messages, still fighting, still alive. 3 weeks had passed since the Vox Imperium attack. The survivors of Sunspire Academy had transformed the forgotten maintenance tunnels into a hidden base. The narrow concrete passages now housed their supplies, equipment, and sleeping areas. Dim lights strung along the ceiling cast long shadows as people moved about their tasks. Olivia wiped sweat from her forehead as she returned from another scouting mission. She placed her backpack on the makeshift table in the central chamber they called Command. The bag contained medicine, food bars, and a few electrical parts she had found in the ruins above. "Any sign of alien patrols?" Commander Wright asked, looking up from a hand-drawn map spread across the table. "2 scout ships near the north sector," Olivia reported. "They seemed to be scanning the ground with something new. I stayed hidden until they left." Ryan Cooper sat in the corner of the room, surrounded by broken pieces of technology. His fingers moved quickly as he connected wires in a communication device. "They're looking for something specific," Ryan said without looking up from his work. "The scan patterns have changed. They're not just doing routine sweeps anymore." Heather Davis entered the room carrying a medical kit. "We need more antibiotics. Ben's wound is getting infected, and I've used almost everything we have." Commander Wright nodded. "We'll add it to the priority list for the next run." A commotion from the tunnel entrance caught everyone's attention. 2 cadets rushed in, carrying a wounded man between them. Blood soaked through his civilian clothes. "Found him hiding in the collapsed science building," one of the cadets explained. "Said he escaped from somewhere important." Heather immediately went to work, cutting away the man's shirt to reveal a deep gash across his side. "What's your name?" she asked him. "Lucas," the man said through gritted teeth. "Lucas Grant. I was an engineer at the research facility downtown." Commander Wright stepped closer. "What happened to you, Lucas?" Lucas's eyes darted around nervously. "They took us. The aliens. They're collecting people, running tests, taking samples." He winced as Heather cleaned his wound. "I managed to get out when one of their holding cells malfunctioned." Olivia felt a chill run down her spine. Were there other prisoners? Was there a cadet named Samantha Bell? Lucas closed his eyes in concentration. "There were many people. I don't remember names, but they were very interested in some of the younger ones. Said something about adaptive genetics." Ryan suddenly stopped working on his device. "That explains the new scan patterns. They're looking for people with specific genetic traits." Commander Wright helped Heather bandage Lucas's wound. "What else can you tell us about their facility?" "Security. Numbers." "The main ship," Lucas said, his voice getting stronger. "It's hovering right above the Academy ruins. That's their command center. They're processing humans there." His eyes widened. "And they can't detect certain people." One of the guards said something about rare genetic markers throwing off their scanners. Ryan turned to Olivia. "Remember your medical screening when you first came to the Academy? You have that rare blood protein, Rh null or something." Olivia remembered. The Academy doctor had made a big deal about it, saying fewer than 50 people in the world had her blood type. Commander Wright's expression changed. The weathered lines of his face shifted as a plan began to form in his mind. "If they can't detect you, Martinez, that gives us an advantage." He walked to the center of the room. "Cooper, can you use the parts Olivia brought to boost our signal range?" Ryan examined the electrical components from Olivia's bag. "I think so. Give me a few hours." "Good. It's time we stopped just surviving." Commander Wright's voice took on a new strength. "We're going to infiltrate that command ship." Olivia felt everyone's eyes turn to her. She knew what the commander was thinking. "You want me to go in?" she said. It wasn't a question. Commander Wright nodded. "If they can't detect you, you're our best chance." He placed a hand on her shoulder. "But I won't order you to do this. It has to be your choice. Olivia thought of Samantha, possibly trapped on that alien ship. She thought of all they had lost, and what little remained of the world she knew. "I'll do it," she said, her voice steady despite the fear churning inside her. "I'll find a way onto that ship." For the first time in weeks, she saw hope flicker in the eyes of her fellow survivors. The underground training room was quiet except for the sound of steady breathing and occasional whispered instructions. Olivia moved through the makeshift obstacle course for the 12th time that day. Her muscles ached, but she pushed through the pain. The mission was only 2 days away. "Faster," Commander Wright said from the side. "The alien gravity on their ships is slightly stronger than ours. You'll feel heavier, slower." Olivia nodded and tried again, forcing her tired legs to move quicker through the course. Across the room, Ryan and Heather worked at a small table covered with alien technology salvaged from crashed scout ships. "I think I've got it," Heather said, holding up a small vial of blue liquid. Based on the samples Lucas provided, this should mask human biosignatures for about 6 hours. Ryan looked up from the alien communication device he was hacking. "That should be enough time if everything goes according to plan." "When does anything ever go according to plan?" said a deep voice from the doorway. Daniel Morgan, the security specialist who had volunteered to accompany Olivia, entered the room. His tall frame cast a long shadow in the dim light. "Got something," Ryan suddenly announced. Everyone gathered around his workstation. "I've accessed part of their communication network. Listen to this." He turned a dial, and harsh alien sounds filled the room, translated by the device into broken English. "Terraforming progress. 26% slower than projected. Atmosphere resistance. Unprecedented." Commander Wright's eyebrows rose. "They're having trouble changing our air. Earth is fighting back. Or something about us is," Heather suggested. "Maybe our planet's biosphere is more resilient than they expected." Olivia took a drink of water from her canteen. "How does this help our mission?" "It means they're distracted," Daniel explained. "If their main project isn't going as planned, security might be lighter in other areas." The rest of the day passed in a blur of preparation. Olivia memorized the layout of the alien ship based on Lucas's descriptions. Heather tested the biosignature masking compound on small samples of human tissue. Ryan continued to monitor alien communications for any changes in security protocols. That night, Olivia couldn't sleep. She sat in the quiet corner that served as her private space, looking at a photo of herself and Samantha taken on their first day at the academy, both smiling, unaware of what the future held. Daniel found her there, his own restlessness having driven him to walk the tunnels. "Scared?" he asked, sitting down beside her. "Yes," Olivia admitted, "but not of dying. I'm scared that we're all that's left, that if we fail, there's no one else out there still fighting." Daniel was quiet for a moment. "My grandmother used to tell me stories about resistance fighters in old wars. She said the thing about humans is that we never stay beaten for long." He looked at Olivia. "Even if we're the last ones, we won't be for long. Humans always find a way to fight back." Their conversation was interrupted by a loud alarm. They rushed to the command center where Commander Wright was already organizing a response team. "Alien Patrol found Entrance 3, he explained quickly. "We need to seal it off and prepare for possible breach." "The mission?" Olivia asked. "We move now," Commander Wright decided. "We can't wait any longer. Their patrol patterns are changing too quickly." As the team rushed to gather their equipment, Ryan's communication device suddenly blared with urgent alien messages. "They're calling for reinforcements," he translated. "They've detected unusual energy signatures in this area." Commander Wright nodded grimly. "This is it, then. Morgan, Martinez, get ready for immediate insertion. Cooper, prepare the diversion for the South Quadrant." As chaos erupted around them, Olivia felt a strange calm settle over her. She applied Heather's blue compound to her skin, feeling a slight tingling sensation as it was absorbed. Daniel checked his weapon, a modified alien blaster they had salvaged. "Ready?" Olivia took one last look at the photo of Samantha before tucking it into her pocket. Ready. Above them, the sounds of alien ships grew louder as Commander Wright prepared to lead the diversionary attack that would allow Olivia and Daniel to slip unnoticed onto the command ship. The fate of humanity might rest on what they found there. The inside of the Vox Imperium command ship was cold. Olivia and Daniel moved silently through the dim blue corridors, their steps careful and measured. The masking compound Heather had created seemed to be working. Twice now they had passed alien guards who looked right through them. "We need to find the central database," Olivia whispered. According to Lucas's information, the ship's main computer would be 3 levels up. Daniel nodded and pointed to a vertical tube that pulsed with soft light, their version of an elevator. They waited until no aliens were nearby, then stepped into the tube. A strange tingling sensation surrounded them as they floated upward. Olivia's stomach lurched as they passed through the ship's levels. When they emerged, they found themselves in a wide chamber filled with rows of clear containers. Olivia moved closer to one and gasped. Inside was a human woman, floating in blue liquid, her eyes closed as if in sleep. Tubes and wires connected to her body at various points. "They're experimenting on people," Daniel said, his voice tight with anger. He moved to the next container. "These must be the captured humans Lucas mentioned." Olivia walked quickly down the row, checking each face. In the 12th container, she stopped suddenly. Samantha. Her roommate floated in the blue liquid, looking pale but alive. Olivia pressed her hand against the clear surface. "We need to get her out. We need to get them all out." Daniel examined the control panel beside Samantha's container. "I can't read their language. We need Ryan for this." Olivia tapped the small communication device hidden in her ear. "Ryan, can you hear me? We found human prisoners. We need to know how to release them." After a moment of static, Ryan's voice came through faintly. "Working on accessing their systems now. The commander's diversion is drawing most of their security forces away from your position." While they waited, Olivia examined the other containers. She noticed something strange. "Daniel, look at this." She pointed to a screen displaying what appeared to be vital signs. "These readings keep changing. It's like their bodies are adapting." Daniel studied the screen. "The aliens are changing our atmosphere, but these humans seem to be developing resistance to the changes." A door slid open on the far side of the chamber. They ducked behind a large piece of equipment as 3 Vox aliens entered. The creatures were tall and thin with grayish-blue skin. They moved to one of the containers and began checking readings. "We don't have time to free everyone," Daniel whispered. "We need to complete the main mission first." He pointed to another door. "That should lead to the central database." Olivia hesitated, looking back at Samantha. "I can't leave her." "We'll come back for her," Daniel promised. "But if we don't get the information from their database, none of us will make it out of here." Reluctantly, Olivia followed Daniel through the door. They found themselves in a large circular room filled with glowing screens and floating holographic displays. Ryan's voice came through their earpieces, clearer now. "I'm in their system. The main console should be directly ahead of you." Daniel stood guard while Olivia approached the central terminal. She placed a small device Ryan had given her onto the alien keyboard. Almost immediately, the screens began changing, data scrolling rapidly. "It's working," she told Ryan. "The data is being copied." "Wait." Ryan's voice suddenly sounded alarmed. "I'm seeing something in their long-range communications. The Vox Imperium. They're running from something." "What do you mean?" Olivia asked. "There's another alien force out there. Something that scares even the Vox. That's why they need Earth so badly. They're looking for a defensible position." An alarm suddenly blared through the ship. The screens flashed red with alien symbols. "They've detected the data breach," Ryan warned. "Get out of there now." The door behind them opened, and a group of armed Vox soldiers rushed in. Daniel pushed Olivia behind a console and raised his weapon. "Get to the next room and find a way to free the prisoners. He shouted over the sound of energy blasts. I'll hold them off. Daniel. No. Olivia cried. Go. He fired his weapon, hitting one of the aliens. The mission comes first. Humanity comes first. With tears in her eyes, Olivia ran for the far door as Daniel provided covering fire against the growing number of alien soldiers. The sound of energy weapons faded behind Olivia as she raced through the alien corridors. Her heart pounded with fear for Daniel, but she forced herself to focus on the mission. The data device was still transmitting to Ryan, sending vital Vox technology information to resistance cells worldwide. Ryan, are you receiving? She whispered into her communicator. Coming through clear, Ryan's voice crackled. This is incredible, Olivia. I'm seeing weaknesses in their shield systems, communication protocols, everything. Olivia ducked into a small alcove as two alien guards rushed past. Can you guide me back to the prisoner room? I need to free Samantha and the others. Take the next left, then 2 rights, Ryan directed. But hurry. Commander Wright's attack is drawing heavy fire. They can't hold much longer. Following Ryan's instructions, Olivia made her way back to the room with the human prisoners. She approached Samantha's container, desperately searching for a release mechanism. Olivia. Heather's voice came through the communicator. I've been studying the prisoner data you transmitted. Look for a blue panel on the right side of each container. Olivia found the panel and pressed her hand against it. Nothing happened. It needs Vox DNA, Heather explained. But I think I know a workaround. The compound I gave you should trick their bioscanners. Olivia pulled out the small vial of remaining blue compound and poured it over the panel. The liquid sizzled for a moment. Then the panel lit up. The container began to drain. As Samantha's container opened, Olivia caught her friend as she fell forward. Samantha's eyes fluttered open, unfocused at first, then widening with recognition. Olivia. How? She coughed, water spilling from her lips. Save your strength, Olivia said, helping her friend to sit against the wall. Can you tell me how to free the others? Samantha nodded weakly. I watched them. Learned their patterns. She pointed to a central control station. Master release. Red symbols. Olivia rushed to the central console and found the red symbols Samantha had described. When she pressed them, all the containers began to drain at once. Ryan, Olivia called through her communicator. The prisoners are being released. We need an extraction plan. Static was her only answer. Meanwhile, outside the alien ship, Commander Wright's diversionary attack had turned into something much larger. Humans who had been hiding in the ruins of the Academy emerged to join the fight. The Vox, overconfident in their victory, had not expected such fierce resistance. Back on the ship, Olivia was helping the weakened prisoners gather when a large screen on the wall suddenly activated. The face of a Vox commander appeared, issuing orders in their strange language. Samantha, leaning heavily on Olivia, looked at the screen. They're calling for reinforcements. But look there. She pointed to something in the background of the transmission. That's their terraforming reversal system. Reversal system? Olivia asked. They built it as a failsafe, Samantha explained. Her time in captivity had allowed her to learn much about the aliens. If their terraforming went wrong, they could reverse it. Olivia's communicator suddenly crackled to life. Olivia, can you hear me? Heather's voice came through. The solar radiation is spiking. It's disrupting their systems. Outside, a massive solar flare was indeed bathing Earth in radiation that interfered with Vox technology. Their ships wobbled in the air, and their weapons misfired. This is our chance, Olivia realized. She helped Samantha toward the door. We need to find that reversal system. As they made their way through the corridors, now filled with confused and disoriented aliens, Olivia's communicator picked up a new voice. This is Commander Wright to all resistance cells. The Vox are vulnerable. Strike now. Repeat, all cells strike now. Ryan had succeeded in transmitting the Vox technical data through their own communication network, exposing their weaknesses to human fighters worldwide. For the first time since the invasion began, the aliens were on the defensive. Olivia and Samantha reached a sealed door marked with special symbols. "This is it," Samantha said. "The terraforming control room." A tall Vox officer stood inside, his back to them. As he turned, Olivia recognized the elaborate markings on his uniform. This was no ordinary alien. This was a Vox sub-commander. "Human," he hissed in surprisingly clear English. "You were never supposed to get this far." The Vox sub-commander towered over Olivia and Samantha, his four-fingered hand resting on a weapon at his side. His skin shimmered with a bluish tint under the ship's lights. "You should not be able to resist us," he said, his voice like grinding stones. "No species has ever fought back so effectively." Olivia positioned herself in front of Samantha, who was still weak from her captivity. "We're full of surprises." The alien's large eyes narrowed. "Indeed. Your adaptability is why we chose Earth. We needed your genetic material to survive what comes next." A loud explosion rocked the ship, causing even the sub-commander to stumble. Alarms blared throughout the vessel. "Your friends outside are persistent," the alien said, drawing his weapon. "But they cannot stop what has begun." Olivia saw her chance. As the ship shuddered again from another explosion, she lunged forward, striking the alien's arm. The weapon clattered to the floor. The sub-commander hissed and grabbed her with surprising strength, lifting her off the ground. Samantha, using the last of her strength, picked up the fallen weapon and fired. The energy blast hit the alien in the shoulder, causing him to drop Olivia and fall back against the terraforming control panel. "Quick," Samantha called, rushing to the controls. "I can reprogram it, but I need time." Outside the ship, Commander Wright and the survivors from Sunspire Academy had been joined by hundreds of resistance fighters. They pushed forward toward the massive ship, using the technical data Ryan had transmitted to target weak points in the Vox defense systems. "The atmospheric readings are changing," one of the fighters shouted, checking a handheld device. "The toxin levels are dropping." Commander Wright looked up at the alien ship. "Martinez did it. They've activated the reversal system." Back in the control room, Samantha worked frantically at the alien console, while Olivia held off the injured but still dangerous sub-commander. "Why are you running?" Olivia asked, keeping her distance from the alien's long reach. "What's out there that scares you so much?" The sub-commander laughed, a harsh sound like breaking glass. "You cannot comprehend. They consume entire star systems. We sought refuge here, a defensible position with a species we could use to enhance our own." Samantha called out, "It's working. The terraforming process is reversing." Across Earth, the strange devices the Vox had deployed to change the atmosphere began to glow with a different color. The toxic haze that had started to form in the sky began to dissipate, replaced by clear air. The sub-commander roared with anger. "Stop. You doom us all." "We're saving our world," Olivia countered. Her communicator crackled to life. Lucas's voice came through, excited and urgent. "Olivia, we've completed the new communication system. We're connecting with resistance cells worldwide. Everyone's launching coordinated attacks." The news seemed to deflate the sub-commander. He slumped against the wall. "You were supposed to be easy prey. Primitive. Disorganized." A new series of alarms sounded throughout the ship. Samantha looked up from the console, her face pale. "They're preparing to launch something big. A final weapon." Olivia checked the ship's system displays. "Can you stop it?" "Not from here," Samantha said. "We need to get to the weapons control center, 2 levels up." The sub-commander laughed again, despite his injury. "Too late. The Doomsday Protocol is automated. If we cannot have Earth, no one will." A massive boom echoed through the ship as something breached the outer hull. Olivia and Samantha braced themselves, but instead of more aliens, Commander Wright and a team of fighters poured into the room. Thought you could use some help, the commander said, his uniform torn and dirty, but his eyes bright with victory. Ryan followed behind him, carrying alien technology he had reproposed. The ship's systems are failing. Their security protocols are collapsing. Olivia helped Samantha to her feet. We need to get to weapons control. They're planning one final attack. Commander Wright nodded grimly. Lead the way. As they hurried through the corridors, they passed more human fighters who had breached the ship. The tide had turned. On screens throughout the vessel, they could see Vox ships falling from the sky as humans worldwide fought back with newfound knowledge of alien weaknesses. What the Vox had failed to understand was that humanity had never been conquered. They had merely been gathering their strength, learning, adapting, just as they always had throughout their history. A massive boom echoed through space as the Vox reinforcement fleet arrived in Earth orbit. Dozens of warships, larger than the command vessel, appeared above the planet. On board the command ship, screens lit up with incoming messages from the new arrivals. They're asking for status reports, Ryan said, working quickly to translate the alien communications. They don't understand why they can't reach their ground forces. Olivia, Commander Wright, and their team had reached the weapons control center. Samantha, despite her weakened state, worked feverishly at the main console. I can't shut down the doomsday weapon completely, she said, but I think I can change its target. Outside, the human resistance fighters continued their assault on the command ship. More prisoners were being freed, and the ship's systems were failing one by one. Heather's voice came through their communicators. I synthesized a compound that should protect humans from the remaining atmospheric toxins. We're distributing it to all resistance cells now. Olivia looked at the screens showing the massive fleet above. But what about them? We can't fight that many ships. Ryan suddenly grinned, his fingers flying over another console. Maybe we don't have to. He turned to Olivia. Remember how we accessed their communication network? I can do more than just listen now. Understanding dawned on Commander Wright's face. You're going to send false signals. Exactly, Ryan nodded. Modified Vox distress calls. I can make their fleet think this entire area is compromised. While Ryan worked on the communications, Samantha finished reprogramming the doomsday weapon. Done. Instead of targeting Earth's surface, it's now aimed at empty space. A deep rumble began to build throughout the ship as the weapon powered up. Olivia helped Samantha away from the console as the room started to shake. We need to evacuate now, Commander Wright ordered. As they rushed through the corridors toward the escape pods, a group of Vox soldiers blocked their path. But before a fight could begin, the soldiers lowered their weapons. Behind them stood the Vox Supreme Commander, his height and ornate armor marking his rank. Enough, he said in perfect English. There has been enough destruction. The humans raised their weapons defensively, but the Supreme Commander made a gesture, and his soldiers stepped aside. You were never meant to be exterminated, the alien leader said. You were meant to be harvested. But clearly, we underestimated your species. You tried to change our planet, kill our people, Olivia said. To survive, the Supreme Commander replied. Our enemy approaches, the Devourers. They consume all in their path. Commander Wright stepped forward. That doesn't justify what you've done. A violent shudder ran through the ship as the doomsday weapon fired into space. Screens throughout the vessel showed the massive energy beam disappearing into the darkness. Your weapon has been neutralized, Samantha told the Supreme Commander. And we've reversed your terraforming. The alien leader studied them with large, intelligent eyes. Impressive. Perhaps there is another way. He turned to Olivia. Your genetic adaptability is unique in all our travels. It is why we came here. You could have asked for help, Olivia said, instead of invading. Yes, the Supreme Commander acknowledged. A miscalculation. On the screens, the reinforcement fleet was breaking formation, confused by the false distress signals Ryan had sent. We propose a new arrangement, the alien leader continued. Your genetic science to help our species adapt. in exchange for our immediate withdrawal from your world. Commander Wright looked to Olivia and the others. A truce. And alliance, the Supreme Commander corrected. Against what comes next. Olivia thought of Daniel's sacrifice, of all they had lost. But she also thought of the greater threat lurking in the stars. We'll need guarantees, and you'll help us rebuild what you destroyed. The alien leader bowed his head slightly. Agreed. 3 months later, Olivia stood in the rebuilt courtyard of Sunspire Academy. No longer just a military institution, it now served as the center for a new era of human advancement and interstellar diplomacy. The first joint human-Vox research teams were already making breakthroughs in genetic science and space technology. As the newly appointed ambassador to the Vox Imperium, Olivia watched students and aliens walking together through the campus. The path ahead would not be easy, but humanity had proven itself not just capable of survival, but worthy of the stars. They thought they had won, Samantha said, joining her friend in the courtyard. Until humanity proved otherwise. Olivia smiled. And now we all win together, against whatever comes next.